Both of you. Good morning to Caitlin Aldrich, the city manager of Ludington, and city council member Kathy Winczewski joining us this morning. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Thanks for being a part of the conversation this morning. City council meeting coming up tonight. It's been a little while since Caitlin, you and I have had a chance to connect, but we're excited about the conversations as we move forward because there's always something happening in the city of Ludington and activities you're looking at on the agenda. We have some running events that are up for a conversation at City Council tonight. And Kathy, this is a big part of our conversation too today. Is that, and you've been on with us last couple years in regards to this, is the invasive species, and you have an initiative that you're launching in the city of Ludington to make sure that people are informed of these backyard creatures, as they would be, right?
Right.
Take us through, and if you don't mind, we'll start with you for a few minutes, if you don't mind, because this is an activity that's taking place, I believe, this week. Is that right?
Yep.
Take us
So
through that.
the city of Ludington has three major invasive species: Oriental bittersweet, tree of heaven, and knotweed. And so for a few years, we've been working on those. I wouldn't say real diligently, but trying to make people aware and stuff of them. Last summer, we hired SISMA with some ARPA funds, the city did, to do a survey of the city of Ludington. And so we drove up and down the streets and the alleys of the city of Ludington and targeted any properties that had an invasive species on it. We didn't go onto anybody's property. It was just what we could see from the streets and the alleys. And they came up with a number. It's a phenomenal number, about 750 properties that have at least one of these invasive species on it. So then they came up with a plan for the city of Ludington. That was part of the ARPA fund stuff too. And they presented that to the city of Ludington. Matter of fact, we'll talk about it at the next city council meeting. But this week, there's a group of volunteers that are going to come out, and they're going to hang door hangers on people's front doors that an invasive species has been spotted on their property. This is for awareness and education. This is not a danger kind of thing. It's just, hey, do you see this vine in your backyard? This vine might be bittersweet, and you might want to do something about taking care of it. This year, the city, we have remaining ARPA funds, and the city has allotted, the Parks Committee has allotted $5,000, and we have $5,500 from the ARPA funds. And this is Japanese knotweed. Some people call it Michigan bamboo because it looks like bamboo. This is the one that we're going to try to tackle in Ludington. We're going to try to knock the knotweed out of Ludington this fall. There's
That's
24 properties that have that, and that will happen this fall, hopefully at very little or no expense to the homeowner.
I'm curious about the different species. Do they grow in different areas based on where the homes are or the geographical area? Is there conditions that make this grow in one area versus another?
They love land that's not mowed, that's not cared for real well. One of the big spots we have it is in the alleys, because a lot of people have a fence around their yard. Some people don't go outside the fence line to mow their yard and keep it up. So it loves the alleyways. That's where the tree of heavens are really the worst. Otherwise, they'll grow pretty much anywhere. Cartier Park has tons of all three of those, which we work on every summer. So they're not real selective. Anywhere they can go, they'll go. The worst one is the knotweed. It's the most destructive, and its roots can go 15 feet deep and up to 60 feet across. So it'll get into people's foundations of their houses. It grows right through the mortar of the bricks and stuff. It gets into sewer lines. It's the most destructive. So we'd really like to knock that out this year if we could. But invasive species are not a one and done. You really need to stay on it for a couple of years before it's knocked out. But that's the one you're going to start with.
One of my questions that I wanted to ask you is that with your efforts each year, do you see that you're making strides, against these invasive species, or is it just part of our daily or annual lives? I guess it would be when it comes to the growth of these.
Well, Chris, if we don't take care of them, it will get into our infrastructure and in our houses. I mean, they say for some reason Ludington is the epicenter of invasive species for some reason in our near area. So I'd like to say we could get rid of them. I don't think we'll ever get rid of them. I think we can manage them. And so I think that's what we want to do is learn to manage them. Right now, we need to do something. We really do.
What do you say to the homeowner, to the business owner that has these in their yard? They're going to see this door hanger on their door. Uh, they might reach out to the city. Maybe there's enough instructions on it. They'll probably do their own research, but in the process or the timeline, I guess, what do you recommend?
Well, I think right now we're really looking at heightening awareness that this is what this is. This is how it spreads. Please don't cut it down because it will get very angry with you and it'll spread much more.
Hmm.
But to treat it, Chris, one of my big concerns is I'm a retired chemistry teacher, and so I don't like heavy pesticides or heavy chemicals, but these have to be handled with a heavy herbicide. And so it has to be done right. I don't want people to be in danger. I don't want pets or the rest of the flora and fauna around to be in danger with that. So there are many groups you can hire to take care of it. But SISMA, this group that works with us, they're in 5 counties around here. They'll do it at cost. And if you don't have a very big spot, you can handle it yourself, but it is using pretty heavy herbicides and you need to take precautions. So again, it's an education kind of thing. If you have some knotweed, this is how you treat it, but take precautions to treat it too.
Do, does the city, and I think you pretty much addressed that a few moments ago, but does the city support in any way that homeowner or that business, other than obviously the educational side of it, the information side of it, but is there resources that somebody can reach out to the city and say, I need help with this? How can we get this tackled?
Well, City Council tonight in their packet, just for information, has the SISMA plan. SISMA has come up with a plan for us, and City Council has it in the packet for information tonight. In 2 weeks, we'll talk about that. My hope is that we can come up with a resolution that the City of Ludington will support fighting these invasive species, in the future. So anything we can do to support that would be beneficial. My ideal plan would be if we could put, let's say, $5,000 even in the city budget for invasive species for 2026, because we got 25 all set with the knotweed. Then we could have the homeowners pay 50%, the city would pay 50% to have this eradicated from their yard. That would be my ideal. And if we're going to look at a grant for next year too. So my hope is it wouldn't just be the city. The homeowners have a responsibility too to help with it.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with Kathy Winczewski, City Council member, City of Ludington, and as well the City Manager Caitlin Aldrich. Kathy, if you don't mind, I have a couple more questions for you, and then we'll switch gears to talk to Caitlin. Uh, are you able to provide enough information to the residents of Ludington so that they can understand that how severe this is? And it's a kind of a two-part question from a from their home, being able to protect their homes and their yards, but also when you get to the point of being able to propose this as them consuming some cost into this moving forward for the overall city of Ludington look. Do you mind sharing that with us?
Well, the big thing is education, and we are hosting a workshop May 8th at Harborview Marina at 6 o'clock. And that's free and anyone can come. We're going to look at these 3 invasive species, and we're actually going to do a little field trip if anybody wants to walk for a couple of blocks in the city. And the SISMA group is actually going to treat some of those invasive species to show people how to do that. Usually we get contacted when there's a problem, when the knotweed is already growing into the foundation of your house, or you have a great big huge tree of heaven that you're afraid might fall on your house. What can we do about it? So it's at that point where it's almost, or people are very, very concerned and very worried about it. We really need to get a hold of people before that so they can look at it before it gets too wild and we can treat it more effective. So education, awareness and education is where we're at right now with the big thing. And we'll go around and hopefully with the knotweed this year, there'll be very little expense to people. We only have 24 lots with knotweed on it. Next year, when we talk about bittersweet and tree of heaven, it will be more costly.
Absolutely. We have a lot of listeners and viewers that are outside of the city of Ludington and might be interested in checking their backyards and their property in regards to this. And you'd mentioned a few minutes ago that Ludington's could be kind of the epicenter of these invasive species. Are there resources that others, and maybe even in the city of Ludington, maybe something has started to grow onto their property, but might not get that door tag on it, that they can either find out more information on it? Obviously, the informational beating is important, but sometimes, when people see or hear this, they might want to roam their yard and look for
Mhm.
these items. What's your recommendation in regards to that this morning?
Well, this SISMA group, which stands for, you know how you know with acronyms, North Country Invasive Species Management Area.
Mhm.
They are through our conservation district, the Mason Lake Conservation District. They can get the information from them. They will actually come out into your yard or your field, and they will let you know if you have the invasive species there and if it's a problem or not. And they'll do that free. Um, so that's one way you can do that I think is real important. And the workshop in May on May 8th is open to anybody. You don't have to be from the city of Ludington. You could be from Scottville or Summit Township or something too. That's for anybody. But
Absolutely.
I have a lot of people that will call and say to me, "Would you come look in my backyard?" And I do stop on a lot of people's backyards and say, "Yeah, this is a problem," or "No, this isn't." So the awareness is rewarding that people are becoming more aware.
And that's a plus because it could be very costly for them,
Oh, yes.
obviously, and frustrating. It can also can it be a health risk as well?
Well, I'm thinking about I don't, I mean, if you touch them, I wouldn't eat them. Well, some people do, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, I don't see a health risk per se. It's more structurally with our infrastructure, water systems, sewer systems, houses. Um, they'll destroy the other plants around your place. They're invasive, so nothing eats them. So, but I don't think as far as public health, Chris, I can't think of anything right off.
Okay, and
Kathy, could you share with the viewers and listeners uh, kind of an idea of what an hour of invasive species removal would cost them, and an example of maybe a property that did invasive species removal last year in Ludington?
Sure.
Thank you.
Um, the SISMA group works at cost. So they work for about $160 an hour. They bring in all the chemicals they need. They bring in all their safety equipment, and they take care of the whole thing. It's really a pretty good deal. They can do a lot in an hour because this is what they do all the time. So they're very good at it. If I can use Mark Barnett's backyard, he and his neighbor had bittersweet all over their fence line and the trees in the back of the house. It took 2 hours to get theirs done. It was really bad. 2 hours to get it done, and they split the cost between the two houses. And so I'm interested to see how much comes back this year, because they'll probably have to have a little bit, just a little bit of a retreatment. So it cost them $300 for 2 properties, which was really invaded with bittersweet.
And it doesn't necessarily guarantee that it won't come back, but it certainly is something where it's going to, in the long run, protect from more expenses in the future, right?
Right. It's usually not a one and done thing. The first time you treat it, it'll get rid of about 90% of it, Chris. And then the next year when it comes up, it's pretty sickly. So if you treat it again, then that'll usually take care of it. We had knotweed in an alley next to my house. We treated it for 3 years. SISMA and I went out. It was on 4 properties. One property really bad. And it took us 3 years, and it's gone now. So
Yeah.
so it takes a couple years.
Okay. Caitlin, your thoughts on, or your message to reinforce with the residents of Ludington to take this serious?
My thoughts really are, to reach out to the city. We have resources on our website. I appreciate you putting that QR code up, Chris. That's really helpful. Attend the workshop in May, attend the council meeting tonight or in 2 weeks when we're talking about invasive species again on the 28th of April. Feel free to come into City Hall and talk to staff here. These invasive species are relentless. And, whether they're on your property, your neighbor's property, or in the alley, they will continue to spread. And they're going to cause damage eventually. They have to be addressed. And if they're not addressed, they're just going to, like I said, they're just going to continue to get worse, and you're going to have to address them eventually. And this partnership with SISMA is fantastic. And I think we have a relatively inexpensive way of managing them right now. So we're here and we're ready to partner with homeowners and help in any way that we can.
Absolutely. Well, I say this in a very positive way. Good luck with the attacking of these invasive species, because everything that you explained today, those homeowners, they want to be able to make sure that their home is protected, and I think having the city go out and identify what you'd mentioned, 750 homes or businesses, be able to bring these door hangers out for more information on it. And then, of course, Kathy, remind us of when that general meeting is in regards to invasive species.
May 8th at Harborview Marine at 6:00.
Okay, good information there. Do you want to stay on with us as we talk about tonight's city council meeting? Is that something that you would like to do, or do you have a busy morning? You tell me, Kathy.
No, I'll stay on, Chris. That's fine.
All right, fantastic. Well, we appreciate you and everything that you do. Caitlin, same for you. You've been in the city council or the city manager role for what, 5 or 6 months? Is it 5 months now? I think.
About 5, yeah.
Okay. Take us through where we're at as the city of Ludington moves forward into spring and summer. Overall thoughts and feelings.
Summer is rapidly approaching. I would say that the city overall is, preparing for the upcoming summer season, and we're really looking forward to it. I think we're finally seeing that change in weather. So we're all gearing up for that. I personally am very excited for summertime. I think that at the city here, where I think everyone is settling in with, we've got some new team members and some changes in staffing, and so we're settling in there. We did have some recent turnover internally with some positions, so we're settling in. We've got some construction projects. What was that?
You're not the only one. I know we were talking just last week. We were talking about Pentwater had some turnover and such, but you've had the opportunity to for the last few months during the, I would say, slower season, maybe that's if that we can say it that way, to prepare for summertime. And do you feel like you're ready to have a very strong summer in Ludington?
Oh yes, yeah, and I think that really, I think we'll all feel better once Wrath Avenue is open, and that's something that we'll talk about later on today. And then I'll also feel better once MDOT completes their project on M116. So we can talk about that later on as well.
Well, let's dive into some of those topics, as you mentioned, and others. City Council meeting tonight, starting at 6 p.m., right? 6 p.m.
Yes.
Tonight on the agenda, you've got the extension for the 2025 services contracts that are part of the conversation for some action items. You also have FOIA, which comes up a couple of times during City Council tonight. Take us through those two areas, if you don't mind starting. And Kathy, you are always welcome to jump in at any time as well, if you would.
Thank you.
The first FOIA agenda item, we have a shift in a staff member who is now able to manage FOIA requests internally. That individual has a lower level salary than the previous individual. So that means that our fee for processing FOIAs has decreased. And then we never really receive requests for FOIA copies in color. We always process our FOIAs and provide copies in black and white copies. So we're just requesting that our fee for copies go down and that the administrative fee for that hourly or quarter hour fee also go down, because we have a new staff member or a older staff member that's been here for a while that is now trained in FOIA, who can handle those duties at a lower fee for the public. So we're just restructuring that fee policy and looking for council to approve that tonight.
Do you see that the number of FOIA requests have increased over the years? Is it pretty steady? Is it from a larger group of people? Is it just from a few? What kind of, I guess, and burden might be too much of a negative, because FOIA is equal for everybody. That's that information that creates transparency between government and the private sector. Take us through what kind of, I guess, workload it would be for the city of Ludington these days.
So I'll tell you the facts that I do know, just because I haven't been here for very long. We receive about 600 FOIA requests per year, and about 90% of those are related to the police department.
Okay.
So this staff person, previously it was only our police captain who was trained in handling FOIA requests. Now one of the administrative personnel within the police department is now trained in FOIA.
Okay.
So that helps with the fee that the public may or may not have to pay, depending on the amount of work required for the FOIA request. So that individual will be handling all of those FOIA requests. That's about 550 FOIA requests per year.
Okay.
Some are very simple. Some are more complicated, depending on if there's body cam involved or not.
Okay.
And then we receive about 50 to 75 or so a year that are just general FOIA requests about, credit card transactions, or just more general information about water usage, or, other various things.
And I would assume that as people hear about other stories across the country, like there was, I know the one that I would think it was Illinois or Indiana, where, and again, there's no connection to Ludington in regards to this, but you hear about these stories. You mentioned the credit card transactions that the city manager there was living a grand lifestyle on the credit cards and the expenses. I would assume that you look at a lot of these FOIA requests as uh, or a good portion of them as kind of the checks and balances, or reassuring the community that there's legitimacy, there's things that are going the right way in the city of Ludington, or at least we hope, right?
Absolutely. We also have, I mean, every organization has their own setup, but we have internal policies as well. There's a credit card policy, um, and what type of transactions can and can't occur on top of spending limits. So anytime I swipe a credit card for the city, I have to turn in a receipt for that and give it to the clerk. If I don't provide a receipt for that, I promise you the clerk is on me asking for that receipt where I spent that money. And then on top of that, the finance committee goes through all of the bills. So then they're asking, hey, why did we spend, you know, this dollar amount at this store, wherever it might have been, and what was it for? So there's a lot of eyes and checks and balances on things, and they have to ultimately tie to a line item in the budget.
Like Kathy's new Porsche that she paid $100,000 for. No, I'm just kidding.
So there are checks and balances, and then when you get a FOIA too, that's just allowing the public, to kind of see some of that come together. So yeah, it's not a big deal. It's sometimes the FOIA requests can be overwhelming if they're very open-ended, because there's a lot of information there, right? So it does help if things are narrowed down to dates or times, and we work with the requester to try to get them exactly what they're looking for.
For sure. And a lot of times with FOIA, I think before we wrap up, is that with FOIA, you have what you believe the respondent is looking for, or the individual applying through the FOIA Act, but they might have different circumstances or different thoughts on what, or expectations of what they want to receive in order to help with their case or their understanding there. What sort of action item do you expect tonight? The outcome, it sounds like fees are part of it. What that fee structure? Anything else?
Do you want to chime in at all, Kathy? It's
No,
okay if you don't want to.
No, that's fine. The fee structure, I think what we've done to rearrange who's going to handle the FOIA is excellent. It will be cheaper for the public to do that. And we have someone trained who can take over doing that now. So I think that that's really, really helpful. Absolutely. And again, a lot of the FOIAs I didn't realize for a while, a lot of the FOIAs are police department. A lot of it is lawyers who need things for court cases, which I didn't realize that was that much of it. And then we do get some from citizens, that want things, but we can reduce that cost. And I think that's good. It'll take it away. I mean, the police captain's got other things to do. So if we've got the gal who's trained now to do FOIAs, it's an excellent thing. I think it'll go through city council with no problem.
Absolutely. Let's switch gears. And if you're just joining us, we're talking with Kathy Winczewski, City Council member of the City of Ludington, City Manager Caitlin Aldrich as well. As part of the conversation, we are gearing up for City Council meeting tonight, 6 p.m. Michigan is known, as many states are known, for construction and in the worst times, which is all around the year. And so City of Ludington, no different there, but we have some construction projects and updates. Take us through that, Caitlin, will you?
Sure. The Michigan Department of Transportation is starting their Lakeshore Drive resurfacing project actually today. And that starts here in the city limits and goes out to the state park entrance. They'll be doing some minor shoulder work for the first few weeks. And they will be finishing the project around July 1st. They insist they'll be done by the 4th of July. Once they complete the shoulder work over the next few weeks, they will start the resurfacing project at the state park and work towards the city limits. So they won't be hitting the city limits until first or second week of June, which is when all of our events really start amping up. So they are aware of the MACR, of the various runs and 5Ks and other events that we have in the city. So we'll see how that goes, but I just wanted to put a reminder out there to the public that MDOT will be doing that. There will be no complete closures. They'll have flaggers, one lane closures, things like that. But traffic will remain open at some level during that road project. Rath Avenue will be open to traffic by the end of the day Friday, but it's not quite what we expected, but that's okay. It will be filled with gravel for the moment. So we wanted the road to be open by Easter weekend, for the downtown businesses. So it will be open, both lanes of traffic. And then the contractor has requested about a 10-day closure the first week of May to repave the road and finish the sidewalks. So we'll have to have that discussion internally about permitting that length of a closure again for reconstructing Rath Avenue. So either way, Rath Avenue will be open by this Friday, gravel only, but it will be open to traffic. And then it should be completed, restriped, nice new road by about May 10th, May 12th.
And how long of it of a delay has that been? Do you remember what the original date that it was supposed to be open by?
Oh, I don't know. Kathy, do you have any history on that?
Well, it was supposed to just be a couple months that
Okay.
they had that. When that first went in, it was just for a couple of months, and then things kept progressing and progressing. So it's been a long time coming. So it will be nice to have that road open again.
Yeah. Do you see that the city will, and maybe this is more question for Kathy, because obviously, you never know what the weather's going to be like or the construction process and so on and so forth. But a couple months versus more than a year, I think,
Yeah.
at this point. Do you see that this will be an adjustment for the city when they take up other requests like this?
Well, I think we always try to work with the businesses and be as friendly as we can and make it work. But at some point, you have to look at the other businesses that are involved too. And that's what really happened here. We had gone through a couple city managers in the process of this being built, a new DBW person. So there was some upheaval here with just changes. So I think that kind of worked on that a bit. But when it starts affecting other businesses to the point that was affecting it, and the housing center that those 2 apartments, we really had to put a timeline on it and say, guys, this is enough. We need to open this up. So, and I think it was fair. I think it was fair to everyone. He was pretty much done with the construction there. They were using it as storage, basically. So it was time to open it. So I think it worked well.
I think the other question in regards to that region of the city of Ludington that I've heard is, parking is always going to be. I mean, Kathy, you know that this conversation has come up for years. How do you prevent, or is there a preventive measure from people parking in the housing complex parking lot right across from Wesco? For downtown businesses, I would assume it's not encouraged because the residents need to have a parking spot there. But what is that conversation like, or has it started as a conversation at this point yet?
Actually, Chris, part of that parking lot is public parking.
Okay.
When that apartment building went in, and remember the fire station used to be down there. And so the agreement was that part of that parking lot is for public parking. and part of it is for the residents of the apartments. What we found is many of the residents don't have a car. They use dial-a-ride, which is more important for them. So it's important for the dial-a-ride, again, the construction on the street, the dial-a-ride to come in front of those apartment buildings to pick up, especially the handicapped people. But that parking lot back there is not used a whole lot. So I think that will be more available parking. And, in Ludington, we're a little spoiled, Chris. We like to park right in front of the store that we want to go into. And sometimes we have to realize we're going to have to park a little farther away and walk a little bit to get there. So I don't think we have a huge parking problem in Ludington, but we might have to walk a little farther on some days, especially in the summer.
Absolutely, and you stated it very perfectly. I remember Mitch Foster saying the same thing: is that there should be enough spaces. It's just the convenience factor,
Yes.
being able to go into that location. For both of you, let me ask this question, if I could. I know we've been on for a while now, and I hope if I'm butting up against any meetings, let me know. I think it's good to reconnect. But to see changes in the city of Ludington, especially towards that area, that has to be a good feeling in the sense. Is there a secondary area in Ludington, maybe part of James Street, or a different area that you see would be the next focal area of the city of trying to either attract businesses or convert into apartment complexes and such? What's the next area for the city of Ludington?
I would look at definitely James Street. James Street is growing tremendously over the last couple of years. It has really become part of the DDA and a part of the business center. The restaurants that have gone in there have really improved that area. And I just see that as a continual growth. Maybe Loomis Street, too, down there, and some of the side streets going off of James. But Rath Avenue, is another area that is growing too. So yeah, I think those two areas would be the ones I would target. Caitlin?
Yep. Yeah, I'm just thinking like the Blue Ribbon property and just some of the other properties along James Street and Rath that we've been trying to work on and get some movement, some development there. There's a lot of energy, a lot of excitement in those areas, and significant foot traffic. And I think that will be very much the focus of the DDA for sure.
You mentioned foot traffic, and that's on the topic of conversation for tonight for this city council meeting, and that is to expand the Lost District, LOSD, in regards to Ludington Outdoor Social District. What does that new footprint look like then?
There is a map attached in the council packet. Chris, I'm not sure if you're able to share that with the viewers or not, but that map looks like the inclusion of Rath Avenue, because Rath Avenue was originally only included about a half a block north of Ludington Avenue and a half a block south of Ludington Avenue. So the proposal is including Rath Avenue south to Melendi Street. And then, and that primarily is, I believe, was to include the new business, the new restaurants and various businesses that have popped up since the original Lost District was created. And then
go ahead.
And then it also includes Loomis Street from Rath to James, and then extending west on Ludington Avenue from Rath to William Street.
And for either of you, have you seen that this is that obviously if there's an expansion and the approval of the expansion, that you feel like it's a positive thing that has, because it's been quite a few years that this has been established now, at least what, 4 years, right? Or 4 or 5 years, so going back a few years there.
Yeah.
What does the city council feel in regards to being able to expand this?
Well, I think one thing, Chris, that's really important is kind of the history with this. We put in the social district right when COVID, probably about a year after COVID hit, maybe 6 months, when restaurants had to confine how many people they could seat at the time. So to allow people to walk around outside and shop while they're waiting for a table was very, very beneficial for those businesses at that time. So we did that. Um, and then it just kind of stayed in place. Well, this just went to public safety, and my big question for to okay this or not was for the police department. What have we seen happen here with the social district? And they said absolutely nothing. The people that get a drink and walk around downtown are not imbibing so much that they're getting drunk, that there's fights, that there's arguments on the streets. They're just shopping. And they said there has been no problem with it at all.
That's good.
So it sounds like it's worked very well for us. And Holland and Grand Haven and a lot of other cities are doing it too without much problem.
That's great to hear. And we're showing the image of the proposed expansion there and the establishments that are included. And it's an opt-in program, right, Caitlin, where not every restaurant or bar is a part of it. But I guess my question is, why wouldn't they want to be a part of it? Is it more of the expense side because there's cups and a little bit more labor involved in it?
I mean, there's that, and then there's, quite frankly, just not wanting alcohol in or around their establishment. I mean, otherwise, like Kathy alluded to, there haven't been any issues here in the city of Ludington. And I think the most that we've heard in regard to a business not being supportive of it is that they're just neutral to it. If it's there, great. If it's not, that's fine too. They don't have strong feelings either way. And it also provides an opportunity. I think we've got a few venues here that wanted to participate during the holiday season in like sip and shop events. But because they didn't have a liquor license, they couldn't do those things. So this allows an opportunity for downtown shops to, maybe partner with those businesses who do have liquor licenses and, keep that foot traffic and that energy downtown, and allow people to have a sip and shop experience. And like our police chief mentioned at our public safety meeting, there's, we haven't had any issues here, and there's not been a litter issue. You don't see those cups, floating down the side of the road in a rain event or anything like that. It's been managed pretty well. So I guess we'll see what council decides to do with the Lost District tonight.
And as I know we've got a few more things on the agenda for City Council tonight. There's the conversation about Gaylord Avenue sewer project. You have some action items in regards to a first presentation of Ordinance 555. If you want to go through that real quick, and then finally. You've got some events to approve. The Bella's Mile Fun Run at Stearns Beach. That's going to be August 15th, or proposed for August 15th. You have the Special Olympics Law Enforcement Torch Run for September 10th. And then you have a Walk and Wag Dog Walk and Picnic. And that'll be tough to say quickly in any sense. But that's proposed for this weekend, right? I mean, we're drawing close to that event. Take us through overall those topics real quick for us before we wrap up, if you don't mind.
Sure. And Kathy, feel free to chime in if you'd like. I'll just kind of give this 60-second rundown. The Gaylord Avenue sewer project is a long time coming. They've had significant sewer issues for the last few years, and probably going on longer than that. And City Council authorized a certain dollar amount last year for the city to tackle that project. So we hired an engineer. We're looking to hire an engineer to design the replacement of that project. So that's one of the items on the agenda tonight. Ordinance 55525 is the sore spot for all of us. That is the smoking ban ordinance that we have been talking about for several months. It is still pretty much in the same format that if you have been listening, it is still a general ban in city parks and playgrounds, except Cartier Park and the marinas. And so we're going to discuss that as a first presentation of the ordinance tonight. And then Bella's Mile Fun Run is a fundraiser for the Friends of the Ludington Police Department, as is the Walk and Wag Dog Walk and Picnic. The Walk and Wag Dog Walk is a new event, and that will be like a 1 mile, I believe, 1 mile walk downtown with your dog. Businesses that are participating will have little treats outside of their businesses on the sidewalk, and then it will end with some vendors and various things. And then the Special Olympics Law Enforcement Torch Run, I believe one of our officers. Kathy, do you remember which one? Is it Officer Law?
Havman, I think.
It is.
Havman
It is
in charge of it.
It is Captain Havman. Okay, Captain Havman is. I want to say it's a newer officer though. Maybe not. Anyways, I'm sorry, Chris. We'll have to get you some more information on that. But one of our officers is very involved in the Special Olympics, and we have that torch run here. So that they're looking to do that in September.
And we'll have time to talk about that, or even have the officer on if you want to bring in, as you did with Kathy, a special guest each time we talk about this. Would love to open that up to having those conversations about some of those events. So let's see if we can plan on that. I know we covered a lot this morning. And we have a question that somebody had mentioned that the city should market a social district mug or a cup. There's the plastic cups that you do get from the businesses there, but I'm wondering if there's some more expansion there at all, or. And by the way, one more clarification: the Wag and Walk is May 17th, not April 17th. So that was my fault in regards to that. But do you see that, or have there been conversations about marketing even more the social district? I'm not sure if there is even more expansion that could happen from that.
I'm not aware of any, but someone else just commented that they should even market reusable cups.
Okay, yeah.
So that is something that I will share with the DDA, because I think that's a really great concept. And I think that those who utilize the social district would probably embrace it.
Yeah.
So that's something that we can pitch to the DDA and see what they think.
All right. Well, good information, and thanks to David and the feedback that we get, and you're always welcome to give us those questions or thoughts on what we're talking about in regards to these topics and more. So, Caitlin, Kathy, we appreciate you a lot for taking the time. I know it was a long hour, but there's a lot of catching up to do, and let's keep this conversation going. If you would like to, I'd like to reconnect and every couple weeks or more frequently, whatever you feel comfortable with, or we can work into your schedule. But let's make sure that we continue to keep Ludington on the map and keep introducing those that live in Ludington and those that are visiting the Ludington area as well, that there are activities and opportunities for them to take part in. So we appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It
Thanks,
is.
Chris. We'll plan on talking on the 28th.
There you go. Love it. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. It is 9:39 on 102.